Okay, so picture this. You just landed in this small town, Kilgoris in Kenya,
Wow.
and you're with this group, right? Like educators,
Right.
entrepreneurs, philanthropists,
Okay.
and you're all there for this thing called a localization tour,
I see.
which is all about seeing how this organization, the Kilgoris Project, they call it TKP,
Okay.
it's transforming the community through education and all sorts of development work.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about this particular group
Yeah,
is they're not just there to watch.
right.
They're calling themselves Paren,
Mm.
which in the Maasai language means visitors with good news.
Oh,
So you
wow.
can really see they want to get involved and contribute, you know?
Absolutely. And you can really feel that energy when you read what they're saying about the trip.
Oh, yeah.
Like Wycliffe Buguni,
Mm-hmm.
one of the participants, said he's really excited to hear from the community,
Yeah.
directly understand their stories,
Yeah.
see things from their point of view.
Right.
He sees this as a chance to really collaborate and connect.
Totally. And we also have Kennedy Opongo Odiambo, who's a disability rights advocate.
Okay.
He's really focused on seeing the real impact of TKP's work. You know,
Yeah.
like how are their programs actually making a difference in people's lives?
Makes sense.
Yeah. And he also wants to figure out ways to make those programs even better.
I like that. And then you've got Bright Star Kaswika.
Mm-hmm.
She's already thinking big picture.
Wow.
Like, how can what TKP is doing in Kilgoris be replicated, taken to other communities?
Right.
She sees it as a model for positive change
Yeah.
that can be scaled up,
I love that. And it's so fascinating to see how everyone is bringing their own experiences and
Yeah.
expertise to the table.
Totally.
Like Daisy Vianziongaya, who's a researcher,
Okay.
she's thinking about the long-term impact.
Right.
She's asking things like, what would happen to the community if TKP just wasn't there?
Wow.
She's really looking at the sustainability of their work.
Yeah, the deeper implications.
Exactly.
Okay, so day 2 of the tour,
Right?
the group is headed to this school, Timagong Primary School.
Okay.
And they're driving through this just incredible landscape,
Oh.
rolling green hills and acacia trees. They're passing traditional Maasai villages.
I bet the anticipation is building.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So they get to the school,
Okay.
and they're greeted by David Lamiso, who's the executive director of TKP. And his passion for the community is so clear.
That's right.
It just sets such a positive tone.
I bet.
So then the TKP team gives these presentations about
Oh.
all the different programs they're running,
I see.
and it's really impressive stuff.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
They're working on expanding access to education and healthcare,
Wow.
supporting local entrepreneurs,
Nice.
promoting sustainable farming practices,
That's fantastic.
even doing environmental conservation work.
That's amazing. And are they just talking about it in theory?
Oh, no, they have people who are actually participating in the programs,
Okay.
sharing their personal stories, like about their struggles, their triumphs, their hopes for the future.
That's powerful.
One of the highlights is the launch of this girls program,
Okay.
which is all about empowering young girls through education.
Great.
It's already making a big difference.
Wonderful.
One of the most impactful parts of the whole day
Yeah.
is this mentorship session they have.
Oh, tell me about that.
So the visitors get paired up with local teachers,
Okay.
community leaders,
Mm-hmm.
and people who have been taught TKP's programs themselves.
I see.
And they just have these really in-depth one-on-one conversations.
Wow.
They share their experiences,
Yeah.
learn from each other.
That's really special.
Yeah.
So what happens next?
Well, lunchtime rolls around,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a real treat. I mean, they're having traditional Maasai cuisine
Nice.
prepared by this local chef named Moses.
Sounds delicious.
But it's more than just the food,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's this chance for the visitors and the students to connect,
Yeah.
like on a personal level,
Mhm.
share stories, laugh together.
I bet you could just feel those connections forming everywhere.
Oh, yeah. You see students laughing and sharing plates of food,
Yeah.
talking about their favorite subjects.
Like what?
Math is surprisingly popular among the girls.
Really? That's cool.
They're talking about their dreams for the future.
Uh-uh.
It's just this beautiful blend of cultures and aspirations.
That's so great.
So after lunch, the group gets a tour of different parts of the school.
Uh-huh.
First, they go to the school farm.
The school farm.
Yeah, it's a really cool example of TKP's holistic approach to education,
Okay.
They're teaching kids about sustainable farming practices
Mm.
and how to grow their own food.
That's wonderful.
So it's not only educational, but it also helps with food security in the community.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what else did they see?
Well, then there's the Kindle library.
The Kindle library. in rural Kenya.
Yeah, I know. It sounds a little strange.
Yeah.
But it's actually a really smart way of using technology to give these kids access to information. Like, TKP realized that a lot of the students don't have access to a wide variety of books.
Right.
So they created this digital library where kids can read thousands of different titles.
That's fantastic.
It's really leveling the playing field.
I love that.
Yeah.
So is anyone documenting all of this?
Oh, yeah. There's this amazing photographer, Pablo Marunga. He's there the whole day, capturing all these moments, the interactions, the emotions, the energy of this whole cultural exchange.
You could just tell something special is happening there.
Absolutely.
So what happens at the end of the day?
Well, the group heads back to their hotel for a debriefing session.
Right.
You know, they reflect on their experiences, share what they observed, process all the emotions that came up throughout the day.
Sounds intense.
Yeah, and one of the participants, Deborah O'Daney, says that the day was beyond anything she expected. She was really blown away by how welcoming everyone was, the sense of camaraderie, and just how inspired she felt being surrounded by all these passionate people.
That's great.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
I bet. And it wasn't just Deborah who felt that way.
Right.
Kennedy Okongo Odhiambo, the disability rights advocate, he was really moved by it all, too.
Yeah.
He talked about how seeing those happy kids at Intimigam gave him this, like, renewed sense of purpose.
It's amazing how that happens.
Yeah.
How that energy can rub off on you.
Totally. And another participant, Bualu Kanzo, he was really impressed by the local chiefs and elders.
Oh, yeah.
I was calling them heroes.
Wow.
So they just embody leadership and wisdom, you know.
Yeah, I could see that.
And everyone seemed to pick up on that strong sense of community.
Absolutely. Like Tebura Wangombe, another researcher in the group, she described it as phenomenal community immersion.
Wow.
She was struck by how authentic everyone was.
Yeah.
Both the people running the programs and the people benefiting from them.
Right. Everyone's on the same page.
Exactly.
And Pablo Marunga, the photographer, he was impressed by how simple and effective TKP's programs are.
I can see that.
Like, they're not just based on these big ideas.
Yeah.
They really understand the community's needs.
Makes sense.
And they're getting results.
That's what matters.
So as day 2 comes to a close, the group has dinner together.
Okay.
And the conversation just keeps going. There's laughter, storytelling, this feeling of connection that they built throughout the day.
It's beautiful.
And it brings up this really important point about sustainable development.
Okay.
It's not just about money or programs, you know.
Right.
It's about relationships.
Yeah.
Working together and making sure everyone has a voice.
Absolutely. Recognizing that real change comes from within the community.
Right. Empowering people to take charge of their own development.
That's what localization's all about, you know?
Shifting those power dynamics.
Exactly.
Supporting solutions that come from the people themselves.
Okay, so now you might be thinking, what does all this have to do with me?
Right.
And that's what makes this localization tour so relevant.
It's not just about what happened in Kilgoris.
Right.
It's about how it inspires people to bring that spirit of collaboration back home.
Made sense.
Like, imagine you're on that tour, right?
Okay.
Not just watching, but really participating.
Yeah.
What could you bring to the table?
That's a good question.
What skills do you have?
Right.
What connections? What are you passionate about?
I like that.
Because we all have something to offer.
Absolutely.
Even small actions can make a difference.
Yeah, especially when we all work together.
And David Lamiso, the executive director of TKP, he summed it up perfectly.
What did he say?
He said, this is not the last time. It was just the beginning.
I love that. So we went to Kilgoris with this group.
Right.
And we saw TKP's commitment to all this stuff like education, healthcare, entrepreneurship, even environmental conservation.
Yeah, they really do it all.
And they weave these sustainable practices into everything.
Like what?
Well, like the school farm we talked about and the Kindle library.
Oh, yeah. That was amazing.
And all of that is empowering the community to build a better future.
It is, and we also got to experience a bit of the Maasai culture.
Yeah.
Shared meals and stories with the students.
Yeah, those were great.
Yeah, at Intimigom Primary School. And just felt that energy of the cultural exchange.
Right. And what really stood out to me was the power of those mentorship sessions. Just seeing those connections happen, hearing those stories of resilience and determination.
Right.
It really shows you that human connection is at the heart of TKP's work.
Totally. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
Right.
It's not just about an organization doing good work somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's about asking ourselves how we can bring that same spirit of collaboration and local empowerment back to our own communities.
Yeah, exactly. Like, imagine you're back on that localization tour.
Okay.
Not just watching, but actually taking part. What skills could you bring?
I see what you mean.
What connections do you have? What are you passionate about? The point is, we all have something to offer.
Right.
And even small things can have a big impact.
Especially when we work together.
Exactly. And remember, Let's Create Africa, LCA, they're a great example of putting localization into action.
How so?
They're all about supporting these domestic partnerships.
I see.
And making sure that the people who are often ignored get to have their voices heard.
That's important.
Yeah. And they believe that the best solutions come from the communities themselves.
Right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Kilgoris project, we're left with this challenge and an invitation.
Okay, I like that.
The challenge is to look around our communities and find those places where we can make a difference, where we can work together, collaborate.
Absolutely.
And the invitation is to embrace that same spirit we saw in Kilgoris.
That spirit of hope.
Yeah, hope, partnership, and that belief that we can create a better world.
Together.
Together, exactly.
Love that.
And remember what David Lamiso said?
What was that?
This is just the beginning.
Powerful stuff.
It really is. At
Jason,
20, 35